Hello, this is Sam Simon, also known as Dementia Man, for the week of September 15th, 2025. And today I want to talk about the fact that September is Suicide Prevention Month and talk a little bit about my journey and what prompted it and some thoughts about living with this disease. There is a narrative out there that life with Alzheimer's or life with so-called dementia, neurocognitive decline, is not worth living. One of the most significant prompters or events that prompted me to write a play was hearing an author who had written a book about her husband who had been diagnosed with early stage Alzheimer's, which is my diagnosis, and quotes him as saying, "I don't want to die, but I don't want to continue to become a lesser and lesser person." The rest of the book is about how hard it was for him to be at that early stage determined to be sane or have a capacity to make an informed decision to go to Switzerland and commit suicide, and they did. And so I wanted to take sort of that idea along with some others, because I've been thinking about this a little bit this month, reading the news. There are movements in many countries and many states, New York being one of them, of medically assisted dying, which is a form of suicide, where the idea is you become so sick and so disabled that life with disease or life itself, you should be allowed to die. Now, I don't object to withholding treatment. If someone can't be forced to take treatments, one can even choose to stop eating, though I don't encourage it. What I do oppose and object to and believe we need to rethink is that an affirmative choice to end your life is something that can be done competently and should be allowed to happen. I don't believe that. Yes, I had to think about it for a nanosecond when I heard this person talk about her husband and his quoted him. I said, should I do that? And the more I perform and the more my disease gets a little bit worse, the more I believe that I have something to offer to the world and I have a life worth living. Now, there are challenges. There are problems. There are the idea that, for example, that the cost of keeping me alive, the cost of my family, will be so great that it'll deprive my heirs and my children of my estate. I happen to think that life is of an ultimate value. I am one of those people. I'm religious, but I'm not taking this position because I am religious. I think I've come to understand that even with my disease, I have things to offer to my children, to the public, to myself, and to science. And that every day of everybody's life, there is something new and possible, not only for your enjoyment. Life isn't, I don't think, purely about our enjoyment. There's nothing wrong with enjoying life and, oh, my love, I'm going to put it right out there. I want to be with my wife, the love of my wife of 59 years, until my last breath or her last breath. And Susan and I have had the unique experience of being the care partner for each other. Susan was supposed to die from breast cancer, and I had to be her care partner, love partner. I think there's now now the tables are turned. I think there's an ultimate gift to let someone your partner know that, or a child or anyone, that they are loved. And that the gift to them is to letting them know that as they leave this world. And what a gift to be able to do that. There's more to that. I happen to agree with the idea that there is no way to give informed consent to kill yourself. I don't care what, because the underlying condition or situation that prompts you to end your life itself is disqualifying, because life is ultimately infinite here on this earth, or the infinite value. And to be in a position that you think there's more good in the world and for you dead is a mental illness itself. Is the product of extreme extreme impact condition that doesn't allow fully meaningful assessment of what it means to die. And there are others out there that agree with this. This is not just Sam Simon. There's a patients' rights action coalition that opposes assisted suicide that have great materials there. And if you Google Suicide Prevention Month, you're going to find terrific resources. There is mental illness, really clear mental illness, where people get discouraged and can't see their own worth and want to kill themselves. And again, that is a mental illness. And when somebody, look, I get it. I have to think about it. What is it going to cost to keep Sam Simon alive with Alzheimer's? And what's the impact of spending that money? Well, I don't know that. My life is infinite in value. And I would never want to end it because it costs too much. Now, that reveals a crack in our societal culture that we don't have systems to prevent that kind of thought from happening, and that the society, through insurance and long-term care options, will care for us meaningfully. But then there are also a lot of options. Susan and I are in the middle of it. What happens if I need care? What should we do? We can sell our house. We can both move into a tiered care community. Or we're thinking about, well, what about if there's a nearby memory center, memory care? What if I just move into that? Or even in adult daycare centers. Hey, people, there are some growing adult care centers that have terrific coverage where I could be every day. Susan doesn't have to hold me. They offer some medical support. I won't be a risk to her. So I just wanted to spend today to note and bring to your attention that, yes, this is Suicide Prevention Month, and that we, particularly in the area of cognitive decline, and there was a study I looked up that said during the first year after diagnosis, there's a higher rate of suicide. So that it's important when you're diagnosed to find ways to bring hope and imagine a meaningful life with the disease. Look, I could never have imagined performing a one-man play about this disease, or telling my story in a way that inspired others. I just heard this past week from a minister who is hosting some sessions with people with cognitive impairment, that somebody had seen my show and said it had radically changed how they perceive their own journey. So I believe there is life with meaning and joy. Thank you, Mary Fridley, for the idea of the joy of dementia. She's with the East End Institute in New York, and they have a program called The Joy of Dementia. we go through life and things happen to us that we don't want, don't like. We can lose a job. We can perceive ourselves to be failures, but our lives are of ultimate value to the world. And I really, really hope that, particularly in the Alzheimer's and dementia area, that we spend some time researching the tools to help us if this comes into our life, and to never, never suggest to anyone that this journey isn't worth living. I've learned new things, I've made new relationships, and thank God I'm able, with what I have, to help others. And so can you. With that, I wish you a meaningful Suicide Prevention Month. Do something to educate yourself and to support others in this field. So thank you very much. And of course, check it out. See how you can bring Dementia Man to your community. We'd love to be there. And real quick, I'm going to be in, let's see, I'm going to be online with the Spiritual Care Association this coming week. I'm going to be at something called the Mather, a senior living facility this week. I'm going to be going to West Virginia. I'm going to be going to California. So I want to be in your community and help bring a positive view of a meaningful journey with, hey, we're unique. Those of us with cognitive decline, we're different than everybody, and we've got something good to offer. So with that, thank you and enjoy your week.